What do you remember of matches with the Mean Street Posse?
Those were they were only I say challenging only because Pete I love to death. I still talk to Pete every now and then. Pete and Rodney tried so hard, and they wanted to make it so bad. Every little thing they did, they wanted to be almost choreographed, and I hate that word choreographed.
Yeah.
Because I'm old school where I just want to go out there, I want to feed off the crowd, do it. But with them, it had to be step by step, and that's what's wrong with the business today. My opinion is everyone wants to get in the ring and walk through their spots and do this and do that, because what happens with that is if one spot gets screwed up, you're done. Especially someone green like that who's just breaking in, they don't know how to recover. Just going feeding off the crowd and just going by the the fly of your pants, it makes it easier. But they were great to work with. They really tried. They wanted to learn. It was just hard to do it because I wasn't that way, and I would get frustrated with them. And they would say, "Well, what about this? Well, what if we do this?" And then after the match, literally, it was longer than the match to sit there, and they wanted to go over each spot over and over again of how they did this, what could they do different. It's great that they were that excited and they want to do it, but for other people, it was just a pain in the ass. And again, love Pete and Rodney to death. Like I said, I still talk to Pete today, but it just made it difficult. Great guys, great fun to work with. Just was difficult because they were learning.
Yeah.
They were learning, and you know what? They wanted to learn, and they wanted to do the best. So you can't fault them for it. It was nerve-wracking.
Is it fair to say that it had to be frustrating because I'm assuming everybody that's in the WWE is there for a reason. They're not learning. They're seasoned. They're ready when they're there, and I'm assuming this is the first time you had to work with somebody that wasn't ready. To a point.
To a point, yeah. To a point. But again, you know what? The big difference is there's other guys that would come in from different professions who just acted like I'm a big shit and I know this person, that person didn't want to try. They were different because they got in there and they wanted to try. They would say, "Chaz, can you come down and just work out with me in the ring?" And Pete would even say, "Chaz, come up to Stamford, the ring. Can you come up and work out with me? I know you're on the road." And they wanted to learn. They wanted to be better. Like Pete was down in Puerto Rico with D'Lo and I for the 3 or 4 months we were down there, and we did tag stuff with him and all. The difference is they wanted to learn. They wanted to be better. They just didn't. They didn't act like, "Oh, well, we're Shane's friends, so we don't have to do anything." They were like, "Okay, we need to earn why we're here, and we need to earn our stripes," and they did.
Yeah. What was the whole idea? I mean, maybe you know, maybe you don't know behind GTV. It seems like it's something that kind of just came and went.
I don't know exactly where it was going. I think the idea at first was they were going to have somebody behind it. I don't remember exactly. I want to say Goldust only because of the G off the top of my head.
Yeah.
And then something happened where the person left, and then it was like, okay, where are we going with it now? And then maybe it was like a Val Venus thing, something like that. But then it ended up just getting squashed. And a lot of angles got squashed when Vince Russo went to WCW. Wow. Any angle storyline that Vince was involved in just got squashed. Like all of that's when we were working the New Age Outlaws.
Oh, okay.
And we were doing all that stuff too. And then that's when the Posse left, and then Vince Russo left, and anything that had Vince's finger on it was just wiped clean, was gone.
Wow. Did you have any problems when you when they asked you to dress up in drag?
No.
Yeah.
No, actually, how that came was Vince was like, "We're like, Vince, what's going on? How come you're not using this? We're not on Raw anymore." And in the back of my head, I knew it was because Glenn was so out of shape, and he was slow, and he lost a step, and he wasn't even trying to get back into any kind of anything. And Vince was like, "I don't know." He goes, "You guys when you first came, you guys were energy, and you did this, and you were different." He goes, "Guys aren't doing anything different." And we're like, "All right, what can we do?" And he goes, "I don't know." He goes, "Why don't you come out with cones?" And we're like, "Cones?" He goes, "Yeah, cones." And we went, "Oh, okay." So that's when we came out with like sport bras on it. Yeah. And we didn't really know what he meant. He didn't explain himself by cones. So, and then that's when he came up. He goes, "What's with the drag?" And we're like, "Well, you told us to start." He goes, "No, I meant cones." He goes, like Madonna with those big cones." He goes, "Like that." And we were like, "Oh, something like that." And then, but I don't know if he was ribbing us or if he was just trying to say, "Hey, you guys are doing something wrong or different," or it was almost like we had to get people to talk about us again. When we first got there, that's all people, people talked about us. We were different, we were this. But Glenn was so far gone at that point, it was like, it was frustrating to me.
Wow. I know you touched on it a little bit earlier. Did you like the idea of teaming with D'Lo and Tiger when it was brought to you?
I like the idea of teaming with D'Lo.
Yeah.
D'Lo legit, when they first put us together, the storyline on TV was, and they put it over well, was, here's Chaz and D'Lo, two disgruntled employees, been here for a long time, not just happy to be here anymore. They want to contribute, they want to make money, they want to be stars, blah, blah. And that was exactly our feeling. And I used to say that. I used to go up to Shane all the time and I go, dude, get me away from Glenn. Let me do singles. And D'Lo would come up, and D'Lo and I were driving together, and Glenn was driving on his own at that point. That was even before they split us up. And we were like, just give us a shot, let us do something, and blah, 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 blah. So that was great. And then when they said, put us with Tiger, at first we were like, we're not that thrilled about it, especially when they wanted us to wear the turbans.
Yeah.
But then we thought about it, and we said, well, he's got a fat contract. He's going to be here for a while. Vince is going to use him. It might as well be with us.
Yeah.
So then we didn't mind it. Again, it's like, it's something different. Like, how's it going to be taken? And, all of a sudden now, here I was a headbanger, I was this, I was that. Now we're coming out with turbans, and D'Lo had his big run on his own. Now he's coming out with the turban. So that aspect, ego-wise, you're kind of like thinking about it, like, is this going to be good? But then when you think about it, Tiger's going to get pushed, so it's going to be good for us.
How was Tiger to travel with?
You know what? He actually wasn't that bad. When he first came in, he kind of had this air about him, like, I'm better than everyone, and I'm this and I'm that. But once you got down to it and you got down to know him, he wasn't that bad of a guy. He would drive, he'd put his dues in, he'd be like, all right, let me drive, and everything was split down the road with him, and he wasn't an asshole like that or anything. His work sucked ass. I wish they would have kept him out of the ring. His work was freaking horrible, but he was all right as a person. He was a good guy.
Yeah. Was it frustrating that year to be kept out of the Royal Rumble?
No. So I got paid anyway.
Oh, you did get paid?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
It was part of the angle.
Gotcha. So when you left the company, you were saying before that Jim Ross kind of just had you sit on the sidelines for the remaining...
for like 5 months.
Wow. So like after that, did you have plans to continue wrestling, or like what were your career plans?
Yeah, I wanted to. Obviously, I was going to try and keep wrestling because I had no idea what I was going to do.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is what I've been doing. I worked at Sam's Club for 4 years, and then I started wrestling. Like, that was 10 years of my life. I guess the idea was to just do some indies and try to go to Japan. When we were down in Puerto Rico, Victor had said, you know what, if they're done with you, let me know. I'll get you booked over in Japan. And Savio was like, if you want to come down here every now and then with weekends, we'll let you work down here, we'll pay you, blah, blah, blah. And then at the same time, I moved to Florida, and it was like, as soon as I had all these bookings in the Northeast, and I lived up here, I could drive to them. As soon as I moved to Florida, all those bookings just evaporated because no one wanted to pay a plane ticket.
Yeah.
It just evaporated. And then for some reason, the thing with Victor fell apart, and then D'Lo started going back and forth to Japan, and we were still, that's actually how I met my wife, was through him and his wife.
Okay.
And he started going back and forth, and he was miserable. And I'm like, fuck that. Dad's pregnant now. I'm like, I'm not doing that. I didn't want to do it. He would come home. His daughter didn't know who he was.
Wow.
So, and then that's when I just said, you know what? I'm done. I'll do some indie stuff here and there. I did local stuff down in Florida, and that was it.